this is probably a really bad idea. Like, one of the things that I think come with the territory of 9 to 5 jobs, or that kind of come with that extra bit of structure routine that we're going to go through, like every single one of us at some point or another, it does get boring. Like, I don't think there's much other way to kind of describe that, or to really, just be honest about it. For those of us, especially those of us in Gen Z, it is going to be a little bit boring at times. It is going to be a little bit frustrating at times that what we do day to day isn't always going to be exciting. And I really don't want to discount that fact, especially because here I am almost 2 years into my current job, and I say almost, I'm like a month away from that. And there are points where, yeah, I get extremely bored. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, but I do think it is one of those kind of reality checks that we don't really get, I think, prepared for. Because we're always told the advice, if you love what you do, you'll never work another day in your life. And there is some truth to that. Like, there is truth to the fact that if you find something that you love doing and you actively can get paid to do so, that's a fantastic opportunity. It's fantastic for anyone that can do that. But also at the same time, there are days that it's still going to feel like work. There are days in which it's still going to feel like you're having to put in the effort. You're having to drag yourself out of bed to do whatever it is. Now, for myself, I will admit that, yeah, the role I've found myself in is kind of by accident, but it's one that I enjoy well enough, that I'm interested enough, that pays the bills, has good benefits, is enough to support me and my wife, and that's good. Because there's often that idea about, well, the grass is always green on the other side, or what if I do this? Because yes, there is a at least proven track record of every 2 to 3 years, if you switch jobs, you're more likely to make more in the long term than someone who stays in one company for their whole life, at least at this current age and current point in time. But when you find something that is good, that works well, that does the things that you need, don't be afraid to add some commitment to that. Don't be afraid to add some level of, I would say, understanding that a job is a job. And we work to live, we don't live to work. And so when you find something that does kind of meet the requirements, that meet your basic needs, and you actively, don't hate and don't dread to going every single day, then it's going to be much better for you in the long term if you're able to keep up with that as you kind of discover what makes life worth living for you. Like, the amount of times in which I have left a job in my very short career so far, because I'm 25, nearly 26 here, and that's not that old. But I have gone from senior management, I've gone from manufacturing, I've gone from customer service, and now I'm currently in an accounting-based role. And that's new. And yes, hello, all you guys that are watching this. I'm just on the commute here, just kind of rambling about things that I wish that I kind of knew at the start of my career. And I'm not even, again, that far into it. Because again, the emphasis that I always want to give is there is so many things that we can be doing with our lives. And for those of us in Gen Z, there's so many opportunities, there's so many different avenues, and also there's the fact that most of the jobs that are going to exist 10, 20 years from now probably don't exist today. That in of itself is a huge miracle, but also is very overwhelming when you're trying to figure out, well, what do I want to do with my life? But that's kind of the whole point of our young adult years, is kind of bumbling around, kind of figuring it out as we go, because we're not going to have all the answers. I highly doubt that someone's going to be able to say, oh yes, of course there are people that do it, but they are the outlier, they're not the norm of, oh yeah, this is what I want to do with my life, this is exactly how I want to spend it. The more common, outcome is going to be that you're going to say, okay, I kind of fell into this role, or I got introduced to this job from a friend of a friend and through my network, and that's all well and good. Again, the emphasis becomes not letting yourself get too wrapped up in the idea of, well, I have to compare myself to what someone else is doing online. I have to compare myself to the somehow 15-year-old Forex trader that is day trading up to $10,000 in a month, when I call BS, not gonna lie. But at the same time, there are cases like that where there are some like 15, 16-year-olds who are, a decade younger than us, who are absolutely crushing it. And that's something for them to be celebrated. But at the same time, for us, it can feel a little bit disheartening as we are thinking to ourselves, oh, is this all that we can do? Is this all that there is? When that's not the case. There's so many things that are yet to come, or so many things that we are going to be able to actively develop or create. And I think that's what we're missing, is that kind of encouragement, where you're often going to hear that, hey, everything's, going to hell in a handbasket, that things are bad. And yeah, I'm not going to deny that there are a lot of things that, especially as those of us that are young in our careers, are struggling with and trying to figure out. But that doesn't mean that everything is always going to be, quote unquote bad. It doesn't mean that everything's always going to be, insufferable. And whether you look on the news, or the first thing you do in the day is that you flip on Instagram or even YouTube right now and just start scrolling and seeing these bunch of, either picture perfect shots or that lack of authenticity, the thing that I just want to encourage is that, that, hey, you're still in this for the long haul. You're still in this for the next 20, 30, 40 years. And I don't think that's something to dread necessarily. I think that's something to actively be celebrated. The fact that, hey, you're gonna screw up. I've screwed up plenty of times. At this point in time, I've been, again, gone through a whole bunch of different jobs already. I made the horrible mistake of leaving a condolence card as a, resignation letter, which, again, you can check out my old YouTube video on that when I left retail. I don't recommend you do that. If you're going to leave a job, do it the right way. Put it in notice, even if you're in a place or in a state that does at-will employment like I am, and you can be let go for any reason, at least do the courtesy of a 2-week notice. And that's going to save your butt later, because now every time I go to a job, I have to give this kind of sheepish explanation of, yeah, well, I kind of did this, and it's kind of like just this little blotch on my record that I have created. So I don't recommend that. I really don't. Anyways, back to the point I was making. As we are progressing in our careers, there is opportunities, there is missed chances, but that's all part of the game of life. That's all part of the game that we're playing right now. And I don't think the goal is necessarily to win. I don't think the goal is necessarily to beat out everyone else around you, because there is definitely enough to go around. There's definitely enough opportunity to be shared among all of us, especially, again, those of us in Gen Z. And I want to emphasize that a lot, because Gen Z is becoming like the biggest segment of the workforce. We're going to be the most edge generation so far in history. We're going to be the most diverse generation so far in history. And that just means that the more that we're able to put our heads together, the more that we're able to push ourselves, all of us, further, the better things will be. The more that we're going to be able to accomplish, and the less we're going to hopefully see, things trending in a negative direction. So, as I'm ending my commute here for the day, it's my encouragement is let yourself be okay with not knowing exactly where you're going, not having all the answers, but let yourself be okay with finding it out as you go, knowing full well that we are all doing the same thing. We're all in that same boat. And I hope that's a little bit more encouraging. You have to have a set trajectory for the rest of your life. So that's my encouragement to you guys is don't get discouraged in the face of overwhelming decision. Let yourself bumble around a little bit. Let yourself, like me, make a bunch of mistakes, but learn from them, do better, and constantly strive to keep everything simple and make progress one step at a time. But with that, I'll see you all for the next live stream. I don't know if I'm going to start doing these kind of morning live streams on my commute or just how I want to go about this, but it's just something that I want to ramble about and kind of express my thoughts with either news articles have been popping up, the realities of working a 9-to-5 job when that's, again, not usually what you're going to see online, but it's becoming more and more of a thing that people are showing online. But then also just the added caveat of, hey, I want to also express this to young Gen Z guys because I hate the manosphere with a passion. So that's just something else that's going to come down the pipeline too. But yeah, I'm going to end this now, but I will see you all next time. Thank you all for joining. Everyone, you guys that said hi, because I'm driving, I can't exactly read chat, but hi guys. But yeah, have a fantastic day, and I'll see you all next time.